Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're doing really well today. Thank you ever so much, as always, for joining me for another episode of Inspired. I was thinking earlier, this has been going on for a while now. Like, I was trying to think back to when I did the very first episode, which I filmed, in a flat that I now no longer live in. And then further episodes were filmed at my mother-in-law's house, which I now no longer live in. And then we moved to the live format filmed here at Finally HQ. So over the past 2 years, I've been producing Inspired and I love doing it. And I'm really pleased that you guys enjoy the content as well. So thank you ever so much for joining me once again for June for this episode. Little bit of news for you. So last month we had the storytelling special, which I know a lot of people really enjoyed. So thank you so much for your kind words and your feedback. That was a session for me that I really wanted to create. That was something that I'm really passionate about talking and sharing my insight on storytelling. It's a big part of my job. So I'm really pleased to have positive feedback on that. But also we have another special coming next month. So July's episode will also be a special with a special guest, which I shall be revealing soon. Not today. I'm going to give you a little bit of, let it simmer a little bit. But we have a special guest talking next month for July's episode, which is really exciting. So more details to follow on that on my profile. Also, to let you know, the posts that I feature in June's episode of Inspire today, I will also be reposting on my profile tomorrow with links to the posts and the creators. So please do spend some time checking those posts out in full when you see my post tomorrow. Leave some love and support for the creators because they're doing amazing things here on LinkedIn and it means a lot to me to be able to share their content. So showing your support and appreciation for them would be wonderful. Gonna give a couple little secs for people to jump in if they haven't joined just yet, and then I will launch the presentation. But I hope you guys are all having a wonderful, wonderful week so far. Weather is a little bit better now, right? Where it's baking hot. We did our sponsored stroll last Friday, and it was very hot. It was very, very, very hot, particularly in the afternoon. And many people were bitten quite extensively by mosquitoes, myself included. So if you see any lumps and bumps on me, that is what it is. But yes, we had a great time raising money for Activity Alliance. We raised more than our target of £1,000, which is fantastic, helping children and charities with, helping children with disabilities support sport initiatives. So something really important and really meaningful to us as an organization. And it was a wicked thing to be a part of. Right. I'm going to stop waffling and let me pop my bad boy Prezzo on the screen. There I am in all my HD glory. Gosh, that is an old photo of me, right? Anyway, glow up. Let's jump into June's episode. So, without further ado, let's jump into this one. Let's get cracking. Okay, so our first post for Inspired June this month is from Lara Acosta. And you almost certainly already follow Lara. She's had a really fascinating journey on LinkedIn over the past kind of 18 months. And I featured her before on Inspired. But I really liked this. I really liked that she produced this kind of single post, which she calls a 1-minute masterclass, which is this screen grab here. And I like the fact that she's condensed essentially a lot of LinkedIn post teachings into one really bite-sized, small, consumable piece of content. A big thing that we try and encourage people to do on LinkedIn and something that we try and do ourselves is convey information quickly and concisely. And it's challenging. It's quite a hard thing to do. But I actually think this format is a really great way to visually showcase teachings without having lots of copy and making people spend lots of time reading. So she's broken her kind of masterclass sheet down into 4 pillars. We have content, we have types of content, industry relevant topics, and bonus rules. And I want to kind of focus your attention on the bonus rules because I think we all know at this point that we need to produce content that teaches people something, or more to the point, gives them something that they can attach themselves to so they can be entertained, so they can be moved, so they can be inspired, no pun intended. We know these things about the kind of content pillars that we should produce. But I think actually something here she's made is a really good point, which is a very simple thing that you can do, is how you space your sentences, how you structure your posts. And from last month's special, I spoke quite extensively about post structure, and this kind of reiterates it. And she says here that spacing out your lines helps visual rhythm. And what she means by that is how someone sees it and the flow of sentences and the visual aesthetic and kind of the pleasing nature of that. So if you think about it in terms of like poetry, poems are very specifically structured in a way to keep that reader reading, right? Rap music does it very extensively too, in the way that certain words maybe rhyme or link with the previous sentence, and it keeps that flow of the story moving. And something as simple as spacing is a great method to structure something so it's easier to read, has better flow, keeps someone engaged for longer. I also really like on where she's put the industry relevant topic. I really like the escaping the rat race. And this is something that's very useful if you are a founder or if you have a personal brand and a means of which of how you can communicate how you've overcome something. So escaping the rat race might sound very much like I quit my corporate 9 to 5 job to fulfill my business. And maybe that is your story, but maybe it's not. But having a before and an after is a great structure. So this is what I was doing initially. This is what I'm doing now. Here are the differences. This is what it's taught me. That's a very good way to onside people and build trust. It shows your journey. It shows the footprints that you took to get to where you are today, or the footprints you're looking at taking to get to where you want to be. It's a very relatable dynamic, and I think something that you should consider in your content. So great post there from Lara. Second post is a nice short one, but I loved it. The second I saw this, I was like, yep, that is going straight in inspired. And it's from Charles Miller. If you don't follow Charles, he is, in my opinion, one of the best copywriters on LinkedIn. I think the way that he composes copy and how he uses copy to showcase the craft of copy is very clever. But I love this because I think this is a really good reminder and something that we're all guilty of, myself included. So here he's talking about cutting out filler words and phrases, which is something, again, that we know. But I like the way that he's targeting very specific things that we all do. So he says, don't write, I think. You're writing it. We know that's what you think. This perception and perspective is something that we're so guilty of not doing. We're so guilty of putting, I think, or validating what we're trying to say, when really what we're saying should be enough. I think this is a great, great reminder. He says, don't write honestly. We never assumed you were lying. Don't write, in my opinion. Again, you're writing it. We know it's your opinion. And I think these are something that are such tiny, like such myopic changes to your content and to your copy. But if you make them, they immediately make your content stronger. They make it more concise. They make it more punctual. They make it more accurate. I think, I said it there, I think, right? But actually doing this doesn't really take any effort. This is not a tool or a skill that you have to learn in order to be a better writer. This is something that you can just start doing. So when you're editing your content, when you're looking at your posts before submitting, think about some of these things. Look at where you're putting in sentences or phrases that are validating what you're saying and remove them. And you'll see how much more concise and structured your content can become. I also really like the fact that he says, don't write really big. This is a specific example, but choose one word that's better, like gigantic. If you can use like an adjective or a word that has a sense of movement in it, as opposed to something that's much more like descriptive, that's a great thing to do. So really, a lot of people would consider as a filler word. And for the most part, it is. Sometimes it's necessary, but most of the time it's not. But really big versus gigantic, if you look at those things in silo, gigantic immediately stands out more. It immediately has more clout. It's more engaging. You can quantify gigantic much easier than really big. Gigantic, you think an elephant, a planet. Really big, you think a tall person, maybe. Like the scale is quite broad. So think about the visualization of your words when you're writing, because that is how a reader is going to see them. And if we want people to connect with our content and we want them to vicariously live through our posts, they're going to do that. They're going to look at language and they're going to see images through the words that you produce. Brilliant, brilliant post from Charles. Thank you ever so much for posting it on your profile. Next up, we have a newbie to Inspired, which is Chris James. And Chris James is someone I've been following recently, and I love his content. And something that he does very well is talks about a lot of functionality and features on LinkedIn that we typically reject or we don't prioritize. And he's made a great carousel on recommendations. Now, if you've not had a recommendation before, or you've not used a recommendation, it's essentially a validation of a skill. So when you produce your profile and you tell people that you have X years experience in Y, a recommendation validates that. It provides the proof point. So yeah, you're saying it, but someone else can affirm it for you. Someone else can tell the audience that yes, this person can do that. And it's very akin to influencer marketing. We trust the opinion of people more than we do brands and businesses. So if another person, essentially an impartial party, provides that recommendation, it adds more credibility to your profile. But as Chris's wonderful carousel showcases, the methods and means of getting recommendations can be quite challenging because quite often you have to ask people. And asking people immediately kind of puts the onus on them that it's something they have to do. So he has a great way of how to navigate it. Excuse me while I have a slug of tea. So firstly, he showcases how to get to the recommendations, which is located at the bottom of your profile. Again, things that are lower down on profiles or pages are normally the things that are not seen as frequently. In the top right-hand corner, you have the plus icon. Now, this is how you add a recommendation. When you click on it, it brings up a pop-up menu and there is ask for a recommendation. What you can do is when you click that, it brings up a search bar and you can search in your connections for a person who you would like them to create a recommendation for you. By doing that, you then have to prove that you know the person, and that is where the credibility factor comes in. We can't just go and ask Elon Musk to tell everyone about how wonderful we are at social media. We need to know the person that we're asking for a recommendation, and preferably if we've done something with them or for them. So if you have a pre-existing relationship with this person, that is the best method. But if it's also someone who you regularly communicate with on LinkedIn, you've built up a bit of a rapport, that's okay too. When you fill out the form, you can also add a personalized message. And this is what I think is very clever here. He says guilt trip them into doing it by including the message. So he said here very sillily, fill in this form now or we can't be friends anymore, which obviously is a sarcastic joke. But what you can do is you can think about the offer that you want to give someone if they are to do this for you. It could be as simple as, if you could provide me a recommendation for X, I will provide one for you for Y. Yes, it's a little transactional, but having those recommendations on your profile immediately increases the validity. Oh God, that's not a word. Validity, Chris. The validity of what you're saying on that profile. And that's very important because when people look at LinkedIn profiles, they are looking not just at your content. They're not just looking for the things you say you're good at. They're also looking for proof. They're looking to hear opinions of other people. Think about it if you go and book a hotel. The first thing that you do is go on TripAdvisor and you read the reviews. And if there's a lot of reviews saying unhelpful staff or unclean room, you ain't booking that hotel. So having that feedback from other people is going to increase the validity of the content and the info on your profile. And it's also very important for Google because Google crawls keywords on your LinkedIn profile. So if you say that you're an expert in social media and you have recommendations that back that up, when people look for social media experts on Google, your profile is much more likely to rank. So this is a great thing that you should be doing. And maybe I'll set you a little task of requesting maybe 3 recommendations in the next month. Have a look at the skills that you have on your profile or the things that you regularly communicate. And then think about the connections you have and the people you forge relationships with and ask if they can provide you with that recommendation. It will strengthen your profile and it will strengthen the value you offer people on LinkedIn. And our next post is from another inspired newbie, Pete Huang, and this is awesome. Now, we speak a lot about AI here in Finally, and we speak about it a lot online, and many people speak about ChatGPT. Now, I know there are many other platforms, there are many other softwares that people are utilizing and taking great advantage of, and I know many of them are updating, growing, changing every minute. So trying to find valid and ongoing advice for AI is difficult because AI, by its inherent nature, is always learning. It is a growing, developing, semi sentient technology. But I love this cheat sheet that Pete has made. I think this is a really simple way to break down a lot of the things that people often ask but don't feel equipped to know how to manage when it comes to using an AI tool like ChatGPT, for example. So he's provided key terms written in plain English, key use cases, which I think is probably the most important, especially for content, like knowing, all right, what type of content should I potentially pass to AI to help me with? He has prompt frameworks, he has tone words that he's used, formatting, modes that you can use ChatGPT in, as well as examples for businesses, plugins, and more. It's a wicked tool, which I've got screen grabs for you on the next slide. But when I post these links tomorrow, please go onto the page and download it. You can get it in high res, and I would recommend it because it makes everything super clear. But I'll give you a taste of it here. As you can see, it's probably quite small on this screen, but download the high-res version. You won't regret it. It's really good, really helpful. And I like the way that it's showcased. He's got the key terms here, key use cases next to it, then the prompt frameworks, tones and formatting, miscellaneous tips. Then he has other chatbots and plugins that you can utilize with ChatGPT. I think the way it's all laid out is very clever and very easy to read and use. As I said, download the high-res version. I couldn't upload the high-res version of this presentation because it was so big, you wouldn't be able to see anything. So this is the low-res version. But yes, get that high-res version. And thank you to Pete for making this because I've used this a few times since. I think it's a really good tool. And having that little bit more confidence and understanding in some of these tools that more and more of us are going to be using, I think is only a good thing. Having that education and that insight, particularly in a method and a means that's digestible and simple to read, is the win. That is what we want. Okay. And my fifth post is from Dina Calakovic. Now, if you've been a regular watcher of Inspired, you would have seen Dina several times. That is because Dina is a genius, to be honest. I think her content is fantastic. Very rarely do I see a post from Dina that I don't think, oh, that's useful. Oh, that's interesting. And I loved this. Again, the second I saw this, I snapped it straight up. And this is her PAS framework, which is problem, agitate, solve. Firstly, identify the problem. Describe your audience pain point or challenge. Second, agitate the problem. Highlight the negative consequences of ignoring the pain. And this is the key. This is the middle bit, the burger inside. You've got the bun, patty. This is the patty. Agitating the problem essentially elevates its importance and severity for that reader. People are quite likely to realize that some things they have could be done better. But if they can see the sheer disadvantage of not doing it and what they will lose or how much more that pain will be amplified, the more that your solution becomes mouthwatering, right? That burger becomes irresistible. It goes from a Rustler's burger to a Big Mac, right? And then you're like, yeah, man, give me that Big Mac. And that's when she says, present your solution. Offer your product or service as the next logical step in solving it. And I think logical is very key. So when people are making decisions, especially when it involves parting with their most important currency, which is either time or money, they need a logical reason to do so. Just because someone says it's a good idea doesn't mean it is. You need a logical, practical reason as to why someone should do something. And that could be you provide data. That could be you provide an example of past performance. It could be how someone was in a similar situation to you right now, and this is what they did by choosing to follow and choosing to make that action. Those are logical steps that will make someone more likely to do something for you. Because when it comes to money, when it comes to time, people have, there's almost like a part of the brain, the rational part of the brain that kicks in immediately. And it starts making you think, is this worth my time? Is this worth my investment? Is this beneficial to me? You start asking those very rational questions. The emotional response of the pain suddenly becomes kind of interrupted by the rationale. and you need to target that rationale. And the best way to do it is with logical, practical advice. If you can do that, you're well on the way to winning more people with your content. And go onto Dina's profile if you're someone who needs to use LinkedIn to create leads. A lot of people use LinkedIn for brand awareness. A lot of people use it for building their personal brand and building their presence. A lot of it use it purely for education. But if you're someone who needs to generate leads from your posts and you need ROI, Dina is a great person to follow because she provides words and content that correlates to financial action. So give her a follow if you haven't already. Now, before I hit my post of the month, which I love, I'm going to have a wee slug of tea, bear with. Hope you guys are enjoying the episode thus far. And my post of the month is also from an inspired debutant and someone who I've been communicating with quite regularly on LinkedIn recently. And I think he is such a legend. Love his content, love his vibe, love his flavor. I think he's really charismatic and engaging. And I think you should definitely give him a follow if you don't already. And that is Denzil Brade. Now, Denzil Brade produces really great video tutorials for how you can utilize video best for your business. And this video, which I will link on my profile tomorrow, is must-have videos for brand growth. Now, when we're talking about utilizing social media for brand awareness, we know that video is the best tool. There are many reasons for this, but they normally boil down to the main 3 points: easy to consume, repeatable and rewatchable, and repackaged for different social media platforms. Video has that flexibility and fluidity that you can utilize it multiple times in multiple ways. And people will rewatch it because it's quick and easy to consume. The barrier to entry is low, much lower than a blog, much lower than a guide. And all of those things are really important for brand awareness, right? It's really important to have a great case study. It's really important to have great testimonials. It's really important to have great insight from your team and your employees. These are all things that businesses need. It's not even that they want them, they need them. They're essential. And video is the best way to do that. It's the best way to turn that information that quite often is written, it's quite often blogs and articles on websites, and transform it into video. And here I've just got some screen grabs for you, but he's got case studies, which I've already kind of mentioned. And I think case studies really double down on what I was saying with Dina's post. They have that logical proof. This worked for them, so it will work for me. They managed to get that result. I wonder what result I could get. They had that issue. They have now found a solution. Case studies are, whether we like them or not, probably the simplest and most coherent way of displaying information of how we have done something for someone. But I've got the screen grab here. So he's got videos that attract. So using videos to build brand awareness and personality, which turns strangers into interested viewers. And that's really important because at the very beginning of your funnel, how big your funnel is depends on your product. But at the very beginning, you are targeting people, or you're trying to turn someone you don't know into someone you will know. They're a stranger that you're trying to turn into a friend. And he's made a suggestion that brand films, how-to and explainer videos are an excellent way to start. He then talks about videos that convert, used to transform that initial excitement, interest into excitement whilst creating brand loyalty. And here he says webinars, case studies, and landing page videos. And I'm a big fan on a landing page video, because if you have a video on your landing page and then you have a button, a CTA button quickly after, that conversion opportunity climbs, becomes much more attractive. And then he has videos that close, used to provide proof that your product or service solves the problem. And here he's got product or service demos, and he also has testimonials. And I think demonstrations are a really good tool, especially if you're selling a product like software, or you're in our industry, we work with manufacturers, maybe they're selling machining solutions. It's all well and good saying that this machine can produce this in this amount of time, but if people can't see it, are they going to believe it? Are they gonna believe that that machine can turn that metal billet from a block of metal into a part that goes into an aeroplane? We need them to see that in order for them to go, cool, that's the right machine for me. And he says, it's easy to get stuck in the cycle of just pumping out sales videos. Brands that are crushing it, think of your favorite brand, are using all of these three effectively on different platforms. And that's one thing that is so good about video. The universality of video and how you can move it onto different social platforms, be that Instagram Reels, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube Shorts, whatever the platform is that suits you and your audience best. Having that content and having that bank of content that taps into these three things will give you your own video sales strategy in one go. You can have this to lean on whenever. And remember that you can always reutilize video. You can always repost it because people are not always going to have seen it first time round, okay? So just because you've shared that piece of information before doesn't mean that someone currently watching your content or looking at your page has seen it before. So having that cycle ongoing is a great way to reinforce the brandability of your business and also the value that you offer. Just in Denzil jumped in to say, hey, it's me. Yeah, man, you are the post of the month, my friend. Really great bit of content. I love this post. I think it's super helpful. And as I said before, if you don't already follow Denzil, do hit him up. Great content. Definitely will make you a better video creator. So thank you for that. And I appreciate your very kind words there, my friend. Thank you. So this is our beautiful collection of creators for June. As I said, I will be posting links to their posts on my profile tomorrow. So please do go check them out. Show them some love. You know, I really like the fact that I can showcase this content, but it's their content, not mine. So please do show them some appreciation. And thanks as always for joining me. If you have any cues, hit me up. But if not, I will let you all get back to your wonderful, wonderful lunch breaks. But I'll hang for a few mo's. Let me know tomorrow as well on the post, which has been your favorite post from today, or which one you think is going to be most helpful to you and your business. I think there's a really nice selection here of things that you can action right away, things that you can, edits to your copy and your content you can make today to make improvements tomorrow, and more long form strategy stuff, frameworks and video packages that you can utilize long term to make much better decisions for your brand, be that business, personal brand, whatever. So have a think, let me know tomorrow. But if there are no cues, I am going to let you guys skedaddle. Thank you ever so much for joining me again. It really means a lot. I've been doing this for a long time now and I love doing it. So thank you for your time. As I mentioned at the beginning, we do have a special episode next month. So I will reveal that on my LinkedIn profile. So if you're not following me, please do hit on my profile, Chris Hayden, hit the notification bell so you won't miss any posts and you won't miss the access to the Instagram, inspired live streams as they come up. But that is all from me, guys. Thank you ever so much for your time. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day and here's to a great week. Thank you ever so much. And I'll see you guys later on.